So one of the most frequently asked questions that I get from my students is, should they go to a jam? Should they bring their banjo and attend an old time session? And I almost always say, absolutely, yes, you should do that. It's not nearly as scary as you think it is. And I wanted to put together an old time jam survival guide for those of you who are intimidated and are a little bit unsure about going to a jam. And this guide is also for veteran players who go to jams and are trying to get the most out of the jam. All right, let's hit it today on Banjo Quest. So why go to a jam in the first place? That is a good place to start. You need to be able to answer this question for yourself before you go, because you want to have confidence in why you're doing something as absurd as take a banjo into a jam and meet people and play music with total strangers. You've got to have a reason for that before doing it, or you are not going to be confident when you do it. So the number one reason why you should go to an old time jam is because you're going to meet people who share your passion for the instrument. And being around people who share your passion can be conducive to you becoming a better musician and learning things that you might otherwise not have learned about the instrument and the music you're trying to play. The second reason why you should go to an old time jam is because you are forced to play in time with other living, breathing human beings. I can't stress how important this is for people who want to develop their skills on the instrument. It will build you into a well-rounded, skillful musician. The third reason why it's really useful to go to a jam is because you get reps in. Jams can last many hours, and just imagine how many reps you can get in with your right and left hands as you play the instrument over the course of those many hours. We know just by working through the Banjo Blitz and Banjo Quest material that getting repetition in, getting practice time in, or saddle time is really critical for developing flow and overall skillfulness on the instrument. The fourth reason why you want to go to a jam is because you're going to be exposed to songs you don't already know or have never heard of. The fifth reason why you should go to an old time jam is because it helps keep the music alive. It helps keep the tradition alive. Going to an old time jam is casting a vote for traditional acoustic music. Vote early, vote often, go to an old time jam. And number 6, this is by no means the last reason why you should go to an old time jam, but it is really a major factor in me recommending attendance in old time jams. And that is, it may force you or encourage you to practice more, because you'll go to an old time jam, you'll really want to participate, you'll meet people you like, you'll hear songs that you had never heard of before, and you'll want to go home and keep practicing to get better so that the next time you go to that jam, you can participate all the more. So now that I've finally convinced you to go to an old time jam, what are my tips to getting through it? Number 1, you don't need to bring your instrument the first time. I recommend to my students that they go on a scouting mission. Usually these jams are in pubs or cool locations anyway. Go grab a pint and just listen to the music. Get an idea for the speed that the players are playing at and the personalities that are playing and the instrumentation. If you go and there are 10 banjo players, maybe you want to look for a different jam where you'll be more needed and more heard. Or maybe those 10 banjo players, maybe that gives you a bit of a blanket of security so that you won't feel bad about screwing up or anything like that. You can kind of meld into the wallpaper. And that could be a real motivator and could ease your troubled mind when it comes to going to these jams. Number 2, introduce yourself to the jam leader or organizer. You can do that by email. You could go to the jam as a scouting mission and introduce yourself there. Oftentimes a jam leader or organizer will have a tune list, and with all the keys that everybody's playing the tunes in and the most commonly called tunes, this list can be your cheat sheet. When you go home, you can practice some of the tunes and you can go to the jam prepared with an instrument the next time. Old time jams are not a school test. You don't have to worry about getting graded or any of that crap. You can cheat. So feel free to cheat from other players if they're good. Don't cheat from players who are playing wrong chords or are playing sloppily in bad time. Those are not the people you want to cheat from. You want to cheat from players that you identify as the really good players. When I was starting, I would sit across from a really good player and I would just watch their hands. and I would be cued into the chords of tunes that I didn't know, and that was incredibly valuable. I also learned some phrasing techniques and watched their right hand to get some idea of how I could better use my right hand on the instrument. So having that mirror image of that other banjo player sitting across from you can be incredibly useful in a jam situation. So you're at the jam, you're playing along, you're cheating off of another player who, if you don't know the tune, you can just sort of watch the chord shapes that they're playing and key into those chord shapes. But you get a little tired because it's your first jam. You're not used to playing 2 hours at a time. Take a break and just listen. It's always okay in a jam situation to sit a tune out. Often these jams it's just sort of a wall of sound. So taking a break, putting the banjo on your lap and just listening, having an adult beverage while you do it, it can be great. And it's good for the jam too to have people coming in and out, so it's not just sort of a constant clamorous wall of sound. And the very last thing I want to leave you with is don't get too derailed in building a really broad repertoire in preparation for these jams. It's okay to go in and not know the tunes. There are tricks that I'm going to show you in the next couple of videos that can help you get through a jam without knowing a single tune. So in this little sub-module of Banjo Quest, I'm going to show you guys some vamping patterns to use in different chord progressions. And I'm going to give you guys a crash course on cheating from other instruments other than the banjo. So you can look at a guitar player's hands and get an idea of the chord structure of the tune. It's a really great skill to help boost your participation and enjoyment of a jam. So that's kind of what's coming. This is sort of the introduction to the Old Time Jam Survival Guide, and I'll be getting into detail with an actual banjo in subsequent lessons in this module. All right. So I am off next week, except I'm going to be providing some material for my patrons over on Patreon, but I am off for next week to enjoy the holiday with my family, and I will see you in 2 weeks right here on Banjo Quest.